This is our longest clips. I think there's about 19 slides in it. So we're going to continue on looking at what we call tracks. So remember earlier we said that tracks were processes inside the CNS or nerves inside the CNS versus outside the CNS. They were called nerves. So they're processes. Okay. So cerebral tracks. So the cortex, okay, so what we have is we have our brain, right? And then we have our cerebral cortex all the way around it. And the cerebral cortex itself is gray matter. So these are our neuron cell bodies, okay? And that's where so that's how we connect to other parts of the nervous system. So tracks allow information to travel, okay? Cell bodies allow information to be interpreted. So we have a number of tracks inside the CNS, and I'm just going to go to this picture here, okay, right here. So we have what we call commissural tracks, okay, right here, and that's our corpus callosum. It connects our right side to our left side and allows everything to function, both hemispheres to function as a whole. Association tracks, okay, association tracks are within a hemisphere. So there'll be a set of tracks in the right side and a set of tracks on the left side, and um, they will carry information within that side. So commissural between, association within each hemisphere. And then we have what we call projection tracks. And projection tracks are those that come into the hemisphere from down below. Okay, so here's our brain, here's our spinal cord. So projection tracks are going to go up. Okay, so they're coming up or they're going down. They're ascending or descending. Okay, so they can come in bringing sensory information or they can leave to lower areas. So it is the projection tracks that tie in then, if you will, our receptors to our effectors. So they're going to go up or they're going to come down to an effector. Projection tracks run vertically and commissural and association tracks run horizontally. Now, when inside, I'm going to go to this picture right here. Now what we've done here is we've taken the brain and we've cut a wedge out of it. So imagine it like a cabbage and you'd cut a wedge out of the cabbage. So what it allows us to do is to look at it inside differently. So within the cerebral white matter, so when we think about white matter, we think about information moving, okay? We find these areas called the basal nuclei. Okay, so they're just, what they are is masses of cell bodies, really. Nuclei, remember, inside the CNS are called our cell bodies. And they're like these little kind of islands. We're not totally sure what they do, but we think that they're mostly involved in regulating our voluntary motor activity. Don't worry about these names. I'm not going to ask you that. So they serve kind of as a relay station. There's a lot of this going on. Information is traveling and then it stops at one of these areas where there's a collection of cell bodies. And so during that time, what happens is, during that time, then they are able to reanalyze. So they serve as this relay station that's either start in the cortex and go downward, or perhaps they can come up. They seem to modify the information coming from the motor cortex when we're sending it out. So just kind of fine tune everything. Dopamine is produced here. We talked a little bit about neurotransmitters in the last clip, in the last section on the introduction. And dopamine is the neurotransmitter that's associated, or lack of it, associated with Parkinson's. So the connection can be made that dopamine is the neurotransmitter that helps us initiate smooth muscle movements and prevents tremors, or what we call dyskinesia. Whenever you see DYS, you think of difficult, okay. So when we're talking about the cerebellum, cerebellum, and remember this is the cerebellum here. It's sometimes called little brain. It looks kind of like a piece of cauliflower to me. And we find it posteriorly and inferior. And again, it's divided in two hemispheres that are mirroring each other. In there's areas of gray matter, okay, a cortex of gray matter, so outside covering, so like here, okay. And then inner is white. And when we think white, we think movement. So these are also tracks, 3 pairs of tracks that we would have. Okay, moving on me from my stylus here. So again, allowing connection between here and the CNS. And so these 3 pairs of tracks allow this communication. And so what they do is they function to give us precise timing for skeletal muscle activity. They help us control our balance and equilibrium, and we'll tie that in when we look at the senses. And again, this nice, smooth, coordinated muscle movement. So there's a connection here because fibers, so processes in the cerebellum, come from the inner ear, bringing information about balance and what our eyes are doing, as well as skeletal muscles. So for us to be standing upright, we get messages from 3 places: our skeletal muscles and tendons, our vision, and our ear, where we have a balancing center in there. The brainstem, as you know, was sort of protected. It's in the middle. So we have our cerebrum, we have our cerebellum, and then our brainstem, sort of this area right here. And really, it's only the size of your thumb, so it's not that big. And it's really important. It has 3 specific parts to it: the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata. So I don't know if you can see that well from here. Okay, so just trying to show you. This is looking at it from behind. This is looking at it from the front. So the thalamus, okay, so here we can take a look here. This is the thalamus area. And it's a relay station for ascending impulses coming up from the periphery, ascending, so must be sensory, and connects other parts to the nervous system of the cerebral cortex. So let's go over there. So they're ascending, going up to the cortex. And at that point in the thalamus, so we're coming up, we stop at the thalamus and we go, okay, what's this all about? Let's evaluate it. And then we'll dispatch it to the part of the brain that we know it needs to go to, the cortex. So it's kind of a stopping off point, and which road should I take? It also provides us with a sense of awareness of crude sensation, general awareness, so pain, touch, and temperature. So when that information is coming up and someone isn't totally conscious, and we're testing their pain reflex and they kind of shake and move, we know that that part of the brain is still accepting stimuli. So the cerebral cortex communicates as well to the thalamus, descending as well. So bringing sensory information up and also sending it down. So the thalamus is a place where information stops, either going up or down, and gets reanalyzed. The hypothalamus is obviously that below the thalamus, and this is our connection to the endocrine system. So it's always receiving and sending information, and connects as well with the thalamus and the brainstem. So it's in between them. But this is really important to understand, that it plays a key role in homeostasis. Through, when I say vital visceral activities, that means visceral means interior organs. So controlling the organs inside of our body. And again, can't stress this enough, connects the endocrine and the nervous system together. Functions include the regulation of our heart rate, blood pressure, and temperature. It plays a major role in water and electrolyte balance, hunger. This is, when babies are born, they have hunger, but they develop appetite as we socialize them. Um, Also plays a role in a lot of release of secretions, neurosecretions, and sleep and wakefulness. Now, the pons, when we're looking at the brainstem like this, there's kind of a bulgy part in the front, this part like this. This is the pons, and pons actually means bridge. And in the pons, there are, again, tracks running up and down, okay? And they can run ventrally to send impulses up to the cerebrum and cerebellum. It also has a breathing nuclei. So in here are some cell bodies or nuclei that deal with our rate and depth of respiration. Okay, the lowest portion, and when we get to a picture, we'll just kind of review all these. The lowest portion of the brainstem is the medulla oblongata. So if this is our cranium, okay, and this is our cord, once the cord enters through into the cranium, it becomes the medulla oblongata. So it extends from the hole in the base of our skull called the foramen magnum. And this is where we talked about tracks crossing over. This is where it happens at this level. Now, unfortunately, technology is gonna outdate me here, but for years I've said it contains our VCR, and we all know a VCR used to play a recording tape. So I guess I have to change that to something. But V stands for vasomotor. Okay, that's our vaso means vessel, so control of our blood vessels. Okay. Okay. C, of course, stands for cardiac, and R stands for our respiratory status, either increasing or decreasing our respiratory rate. So you can see that this plays a major, major role in controlling our vital visceral activities. So just to review, vessel, whenever you see vaso, we're talking about blood vessel, which stimulates the inner lining of our vessels to constrict, to help us control blood pressure. It increases or decreases our heart rate, depending what the message is, or increases the rate and depth of our respirations. Now I slipped this little one in here just because I wanted you to see. So we go cerebrum, midbrain, cerebellum, pons, but this is where the crossing over happens at the medulla oblongata. So the right side is going to go over to the left side and vice versa. Now there are some tracks that do not cross over, but for the majority of them, they do.